What's up guys, in today's gameplay you will see ONDRE taking some insane long range shots with his SSG at a very windy environment. In fact, the field that he's playing at is right next to a wind power plant, but still he compensates the wind and hits those targets at really long range. So if you want to learn this, pay special attention to what he's doing, and also later on in the video I'm gonna explain which methods are out there to compensate wind. So if you want to learn that, stick to the end of the video.
Nice.
The game mode is defend. All ONDRE has to do is shoot the incoming forces, and he gets the job done, as you will see. Now let's have a look on what ONDRE did right there. Before he takes the first shot, he observes the vegetation and other wind indicators that are in between his muzzle and the enemy to get a feeling of the wind that will influence the BB on its path. Now it's time for him to guess the distance to then choose the according mil dots. There are several ways to calculate the range to the target with a mil dot reticle, but in Airsoft you mostly don't have the time to do that, so it's best to just guess and rely on your experiences. He chooses this mil dot and a vertical line and that one on the horizontal line. Let's see where the BB impacts. Now ONDRE knows that he was a bit off with his estimation. All he has to do is remember the mil dots where the BB went. His rifle is consistent, and if the wind stays consistent too, the next shot will hit dead center. And that's how ONDRE compensates for wind. Later on we will have a look on how I do it. Now let's see how I'm compensating for wind. First I gather the same information as ONDRE did by observing the wind that's blowing between my muzzle and the enemy. Instead of aiming left or right to the target, I tilt my rifle into the wind. Due to the hop-up effect, the BB wants to curve in the direction I'm tilting the gun. The wind, however, will bring back the BB on track if I've done it right. To get an idea of the angle of the rifle, it's great to use buildings and trees as a reference, since they are usually perfectly vertical. Now I can create the right angle by looking at the vertical crosshair line and take the shot.
Nice. Hit, nice.
Now that ONDRE is hit, he has to change sides and fight his previous team. Knowing all the positions in combination of the range of his rifle is definitely an advantage and should make it easy for him to take them out one by one. He gets spotted. Time to change position.
Ja?
Genau in der Kirche beim Fenster.
ONDRE's got some real talent in picking sniping spots. Every time he hides somewhere, there's a ton of enemies running around in front of him just waiting to be shot. Finding the right position is one of the keys to being an effective airsoft sniper. But also it's one of the most difficult ones, since you have to take a million factors in account and it's always about making the best compromise. View, cover, elevation, retreat opportunities and angle on the enemies are all things you have to think of when choosing cover. The enemies are always looking away from him, but never in his direction. That's the way it should be. If you always face the opponent's front, you have to change your sniping game.
Was? Na, warte noch.
Attackers are taking over and there is no much enemies left, so ONDRE rushes forward and takes the last few opponents down.
Masz.
Ty kokot!
Chceš Karisa nejst? No okej, egal.
Alright guys, that was the ONDRE gameplay. As you can see, he's really good at compensating wind, even though he uses a different technique that I'm using. If you want to use the method that ONDRE is using, you definitely need a mil-dot reticle with the dots. Otherwise, it's really hard to remember where the shot is going, and the novel scope, that's the scope that I'm selling at knowledge.com, has those mil-dots all the way. So very good for compensating wind. If you want to check out the scope, it has some great features, which is, illuminated reticle. Then you have adjustment turrets that are adjustable from the outside, which is great. You can lock them in place right here that they don't readjust during the game. 3 to 9 times magnification, so 3 times to keep that overview, 9 times in case you want to zoom a little bit more in, you want to see which team the enemy's on, or if you're not sure if it's an enemy or if you can't see the BB, then additional zoom is always nice to have. Then what's also great about the scope is that there is a ton of accessories available. So you can add a scope extender, So basically this scope right here is another scope with a scope extender. And if you don't want the additional length, but you still want to avoid reflections, you can also get a honeycomb. This one right here, you can screw it into the scope extender or just into the scope by itself. Also, it's a 25mm scope, which allows you to mount adapters, rail adapters. So as you can see here, here's a zoom cam mounted and also a power bank. So yeah, if you want to check it out, once again, you can find it at Norwich.com. And if you want to follow ONDRE on his adventure of creating the perfect camouflage leaf suit, check out his social media. Links are in the video description. This is Norwich, and I see you guys next Thursday.